let's be real. Some of y'all are not gonna like this, but God did not give you a husband to depend on. He gave you a brain to multiply. And I am not saying that to be cute or to be catchy, but I'm saying that because for a long time, like a very long time, I had it twisted too. I thought that being taken care of meant that I had made it until I realized God did not call me to wait. He did not call me to wait on my husband. He called me to work. Growing up, I never thought I would have to depend on a man. I was that independent type of solo girl, But watching how hard my mom worked, how we struggled coming up, it did something to me. I remember growing up as a kid, I used to say to myself, I need to make a lot of money. I am not growing up in this struggle life. And I'm sure you guys had moms like mine. My mom was the kind of woman who would go to work, come home, cook, wake up early, and do it all over again repeatedly. She worked 2 jobs, and even though we did not have much, she always found a way to make it work. But I know she did not do it alone. I know it was God that was helping her throughout the whole process, throughout her whole life experience. But me, I used to look at her, I used to be like, hold up, wait, my mom, she has a husband. Why is she struggling? Why is she working 2 jobs? Because my dad, he was a pastor. That was his job, even though he had other jobs, but that was his main career. And as honorable as being a pastor is, it did not bring in a lot of money. So I remember I used to look at it like, oh my gosh, why does she have to carry so much of the load? And I used to say to myself, I could not live like that. No. Back then, in the 90s or the early 2000s, nobody was really talking about entrepreneurship, at least not in our community. Either rapped, sang, played ball, went to school, and prayed that you would get a good job. So even though I always said I wanted to be successful, even be rich, I just didn't know. I didn't even know how. I didn't even know where to start. I wanted to be everything that sounded like it made a lot of money because I was just trying to figure out which lane made the most amount of money. And funny enough, ever since I was a little, I used to say to myself, I want to be a stockbroker. Or like maybe to any of my siblings, anyone who would listen to me, I would be like, I want to be a stockbroker. But that dream felt so far away because I did not see anyone doing that, not anyone around me. In my head, that was the Wall Street world. I would say white men in suits, big money, completely different world. And I was just this regular black girl from the ghetto thinking, how can I do that? I was like, maybe I can do this, but I didn't even know where to start. It wasn't until 2020, when everything shut down during the pandemic, that everything started making sense. Because let's be honest, I truly believe that's when every black person and their mama started getting into investing or trading. A majority of us didn't know anything about that life. We used to think we had to be rich first in order to start investing, or at least have 100K, just so we can find some professional to invest for us. But thank God for apps like Robinhood and Webull and all the investing platforms that are for us retail investors. Because that was like the first time a lot of us looked at it and was like, oh wait, I can actually do this. Yeah, like we were excited. We're like, oh my gosh, we're all about to be so rich, so successful through the stock market. And yeah, it might look like a lot of people became millionaires during that time because of the stock market, whether they were investing or trading. And guess what? No one is talking about the ones who fell. And that would be like 99% of us. We're only seeing the 1% successful millionaires right now, whether they got lucky, whether they were trading, whether they caught their big break. We only see 1% of that, but it looks like it's a lot of us becoming millionaires through the stock markets, a lot of us in our community. But actually, what about the ones who failed? Nobody talks about that. So I want to tell you this, don't feel bad if you missed out on that wave or missed out on that money boat. It's not too late for you because you still have time. I'm not saying you have a lot of time because the way the world is going, I don't know, but you still have time starting today. And listen, if you're a housewife and you've been a housewife for 2, 5, 10 years or 20, even 20 years, and if you've been building with your man, but you kind of got lost in his vision, I completely get it. Because that used to be me too. I used to be so wrapped up in what my husband was building. I was always trying to support what he was doing, all his entrepreneurship, ideals, that I completely forgot about myself. I stopped producing, I stopped creating. I kept waiting on him when really I should have been waiting on God. What I didn't realize at the time was how much I started depending on my husband instead of depending on God. And don't get me wrong, I was still praying. I'm a Christian. So I was still praying every night. I was still going to church. I was still trying to be good, do the right things. But guess what? I was not going to God specifically for direction. I was going to my husband. And when things went wrong, whether it was in the house, the businesses that we had, or the bills, I started attacking him for any little thing. Like, I refused to give my husband grace. Like, I was just attacking him for every little thing. I was expecting him to fix what only God could lead. And guess what, guys? Guess what? That's when he had to open my eyes. God really had to tell me, like, that was a big eye opener for me. It was like, when the light bulb goes on, God really showed me. He literally said, like, when you hear God whisper in your ears, he literally said, yo, your husband isn't your savior. I am. Because that really hit me. Because my words were always, I trust God, I trusted him. But my actions were proving I was putting my trust in a man. And guess what? That's where most of us ladies, we get stuck. Whether we're moms, whether we're housewives, whether we're girlfriends, it doesn't matter. If you have a man, you expect certain things from him. And while you're saying God is my provider, but we're living like our man, our husband, our boyfriend is the one holding it all together. So yes, your husband might be the provider because yes, that is biblical. But guess what? God, he is the source. He's the main source, the only source. In Deuteronomy 8:18, my new favorite verse, it says, for it is God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Not your husband, not your parents, not your boss, God. And God gave that ability to everyone. So whether you're a wife, a stay-at-home mom, or a single woman, you cannot live your whole life depending on someone else to handle things for you. You need to know what's going on in your household. You need to have a backup plan, a budget, and a brain for business. Because guess what? That's exactly what the Proverbs 31 woman did. She considered a field, and guess what? She bought it. She didn't wait for permission. She made her own decisions. And I'm sure, talking to her husband, but she made her decisions. She didn't wait for permission. She made decisions. She made her own decisions. If your man is currently struggling, that does not mean you guys are failing. That means it's time to multiply what's in your hands. If he brings in a little, stretch it, multiply it. And if you can't work a 9 to 5 right now, whether you're at home with your kids, or you don't have no one to watch your kids, or you just can't find a job, like learn a skill. Learn marketing, learn investing, learn trading, learn about business, learn something. Because when you multiply what God gives you, you're building not just for yourself, but you're building for your children and your children's children. And guess what? That's what generational wealth really is. If this is hitting you right now and you're feeling that tug, that conviction, pause for a second, like this video, and subscribe to this channel. Be sure to share this video with another woman who needs to hear this, because this right here is what God's been trying to tell a lot of us. And I'm glad I've been put in a place, and God has put it in my heart to start speaking to you ladies. So when I say God didn't give you a husband to depend on, I don't mean he didn't give you one to love or to build with. I mean, he didn't give you a husband to replace him. Because if you depend on your husband more than you depend on God, you will eventually feel empty. God wants partnership, not dependency. That's how he built Eve, not beneath him, but besides him. That's why the Proverbs 31 woman inspires me so much. She was running businesses. She was running her home. She was running businesses, managing her home, and her husband respected her because of her strength. She wasn't competing, she was completing. And that's how God designed us to move. So no, God did not give you a husband to depend on. He gave you a brain to multiply. He gave you the wisdom, the strategy, and the ability to create. So stop waiting to be chosen. Start walking in who God already called you to be. Because when you walk in that truth, you will not have to chase partnership. You will attract alignment. And that's what real kingdom building looks like. Because here's the truth. When you stop depending on people and start depending on God, you stop moving from desperation and start moving based on direction. You stop chasing love and start building purpose. You stop begging for provision and start walking in it. And for the ones who thought God forgot you, no, God did not forget you. He's just waiting for you to remember exactly who you are. And for the ones who think you're behind, you are not behind. You are not overlooked. You're just being prepared. So whether you're a wife, a mom, or a single woman who's out there trying to figure it out, remember this. You already carry the thing you keep praying for. You are the favor. You are the multiplication. And when you start walking like that, that's when everything connected to you starts to grow. So yeah, I love you. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to you, Share it with someone who needs a reminder. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.